The feedback. Jamie, how many are online?
24.
24. Nice turnout. Excellent.
And counting.
Of course. By way of introductions, my name is Alan Pickering. Despite my alabaster complexion, I am bronze through and through. I started with Toastmasters in 2013 and am a member of two clubs, ACH Renaissance and Swesters, which just chartered June 30th. I believe everybody should have my email address, as I've been emailing everyone for a while now, but it is alanpickering@d25toastmasters.org. Please let me know if you have any questions throughout this season and up till June 30th, 2017, and probably after that. Also with me is my dear, lovely bride, Jamie Pickering, distinguished Toastmaster, who has been in Toastmasters since 2009 and is currently your district chief judge. And when everybody has questions about rules, she's my first stop. She is monitoring the phones and will be translating the questions from text to voice for me so that I can answer throughout this presentation. Jamie is a member of three clubs, ACH Renaissance, her corporate club First Command, and Highway to Excellence. Her email address is listed there as well as all over the D25 website. So I am putting this webinar on because I am the contest coordinator because Greg and Jamie asked me to be. This was a role that the district has set up. Last year and years prior, it was called the Contest Quality Chair, but we've changed it to Contest Coordinator. And my job is to keep the documents updated for the season that help put on contests. I'm also to be a resource for answers for all the directors and all the contest chairs. I'm not necessarily able to supply much labor, but I should have some answers on anything contest related. The last part of my job as contest coordinator is I will be the contest chair for the for the 4 district contests that will happen in November and May. I have attended contests since Jamie started dragging me to them in 2010. You'll note that that is actually 3 years before I joined, so I've been doing contests longer than I've been doing Toastmasters. I am trained judge and chief judge and have Toastmastered 1 contest, and last year was an area director, so I've put on 2 of my own, and I put them on the wrong way. One of the reasons I said yes to Greg is so that I can help people not run a contest the way I did. Before I get started, I just have to give a thank you. I love this quote. It is of my wife's. I believe she didn't steal it from anywhere else, but I can't do what I'm doing here today and doing this season in service of the district if it were not for what other people did yesterday. Particularly, I'm talking of Steve Blake, who was the contest quality chair last year, as well as Jamie was the district chief judge last year. Steve Blake taught me everything I know about putting on a contest. Jamie, my resource for answers, and also her example in doing the things that she did in district chief judge role has inspired me to do the same kind of thing on the contest side. Also, obviously, I have to thank every contest chair for every contest I've ever attended, because without that, I would have no frame of reference. So, into the meat. We are going to be talking tonight about contests. The objective tonight is to give you a basis, a crash course, if you will, on how to have a quality contest. My intent here is to educate first-timers. However, as we've realized in working on this new Toastmaster season, things that I'm going to get into tonight and things that we've done are going to be of interest to old hands who have seen a million contests themselves. My audience, and who we have put this out to and asked them to forward to their contest chairs, is the area directors and the division directors, and obviously any contest chairs that have already been chosen. We're going to go into what is a contest, kind of go through its anatomy, and why do we have a confusing set of definitions as to what's a contest. We call 2 different things a contest. and a little bit on why do we do contests. Get into planning for one, who does what, get into executing one, who does what. And finally, because the contest Toastmaster is so critical to the face of the contest, going to give a little perspective from the contest Toastmaster's point of view. Obviously, none of them are on this call. Few have been chosen by this point, but it is up to the area director and the contest chairs to get that contest Toastmaster prepared for a contest. I intend to open up at the end of this presentation after an hour or so to questions and answers, but I don't want this to be one of those things where I'm going to talk for an hour and then start getting some feedback. I will break in and ask for some responses through the messaging window, but as I'm going through and bringing up items, if you have a question, perhaps if I haven't explained something thoroughly, go ahead and send a message in. Jamie's going to read that, and she can either answer it herself or she can find a place to comfortably interrupt me so that I can redress that issue. The first rule in listening to any sort of course class presentation is you're never the only one with that question. So contests, why do we do them? I had intended to have a slide talking about how it's not to find who's the best speaker, but our district director had corrected me, and it is to find out who is the best speaker. It is fun and a different experience to compete. Many people get a thrill, get challenged by having competition going on. But just determining who's number one is not the only reason we do this. One of the best things about contests is it is an opportunity for everyone in District 25 to get out of their club. Even if they're competing, they get out and have an experience where it's not the normal speech that they're giving. You can probably give an excellent speech in front of your normal home club that you've seen those faces for weeks, months on end, and they're all smiling and happy, and you know them, and you know exactly how they're going to react. You come into a contest and take that stage, it's a very different experience. And it helps us grow. It helps us become better communicators. The other aspect on the experience side is those of us that are putting on a contest, we are learning a ton of experience in leadership, which, as we all know, is the second side of the coin of Toastmasters, communication and leadership. So we're looking for those sorts of challenges. One of the things that I think is important, the director and contest chair team, both of you need to understand why the other one is in the game. The directors, well, you don't have a choice. You've been co-opted. You have to put on a contest to do your job. But your contest chair said yes to you. Did they do that so that they can get their HPL? Did they do that because really good friends and they want you to succeed? It will help you have perspective about your team if everybody gets on the same page as to what it is we're after in this endeavor. So what is a contest? This is where the word contests becomes a little problematic. Here in District 25, in the fall, we have an area contest, we have division contests, and we have a district contest. However, within that contest that I'm going to start calling an event, we have two separate contests. This fall, we will have the evaluation speech contest and the humorous speech contest. Particularly with the changes that have happened this year, we need to pay attention to what the term contest means. In this presentation, I'm going to try to use the word event to mean the combination of the two contests. And when I say contest, I intend to use that referring to either the evaluation contest or the humorous speech contest. forgive me if I do mess up. It's been a number of years that I've been referring to the whole thing as a singular contest. In District 25, in the even year spring seasons, we have the Tall Tales contest, which is a ton of fun, as well as the International Speech Contest. Opposing years, in the odd year springs, we mix it up and have a table topic speech contest and the International Speech Contest. The International Speech Contest is one that Toastmasters International commands, if you will, that we have. The winner of the International Speech Contest at District 25 always goes on to compete in the World Championship of Public Speaking wherever the international conference is held. A number of people in the district just returned from Washington, D.C. One of the first things that you will want to do is get your hands on the rule book. The director, and by director I'm combining area or division director, the director and the contest chair are expected to know the rules. Often a contestant or other staff of a contest will come to you and ask, can this happen? Can a contest chair compete? Well, no, not in their own contest. It helps to have a familiarity with the rule book. We don't expect you to be able to quote it, but do have some idea how the book is structured. Where might you go to look for the originality rule? You will always have a resource at your contests in the contest chief judge, as well as anybody that is from the district level tend to know all the rules. Something to note is starting with this season, July 1, there is a new rule book that has many new rules. They are marked very nicely with a diamond in the margin so that you can see that this section was something that had some sort of a change this year. If you do not have the rule book, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, you can go to the District 25 or Toastmasters International website to download a PDF of the rule book. Jamie is nodding. I'm not incorrect. So pop quiz time. How many contests have you been to in your Toastmasters career? Just find your messaging window, type in 1, 10, dozen, 50. So we do seem to have a mix of numbers of contest experience. Do we have any nones? Excellent. That's exactly what this webinar is here for. So the anatomy of a contest. What makes up this contest thing? Many of you have been to one, but pay close attention. It just changed on us. So a contest, and I've already screwed up, an event that we have two contests within has an opening phase. The director will take the stage, call the meeting to order, have a pledge, inspiration, prayer, etc. to get started. And then the director will go on to introducing the contest Toastmaster. From that point until the end of the first contest, it is the contest Toastmaster on stage. Just like in a Toastmasters meeting, the Toastmaster is running that contest and that event for the time he's on stage. One of the first things we do is we introduce the dignitaries that are present. There's a form to help us do that, and the script will also help you understand where that is. As director and as contest chair, you need to work with your contest Toastmasters to make sure they understand how do we go about introducing dignitaries. There are a few of us with multiple syllables to our last name. It helps to practice saying someone's name, and it is our job to help our Toastmasters get familiar with the names so we don't mangle them upon introduction. After introducing dignitaries, the contest Toastmaster has some opening remarks typically reflective of the theme of the contest that has been set by the director and chair. And then they dig deep into the script. there is particular language that we need to get across to the audience, and we call it an audience briefing to help set the rules, set the stage, so that everybody knows what behavior is expected of them. After the audience briefing, we're able to start our first contest. Season we're about to go into, this will be the evaluation contest. One of the first things that happens is the Toastmaster announces the speaking order, and you usually see a flurry of activity with people scribbling in their agendas to make note of who's speaking first, second, third, fourth, and down the line. This year at the division level, we actually have the opportunity to probably see 7 competitors. That's a first interesting thing for us this year. After the announcement of the speaking order, we get into the actual speeches. One by one, in the order that was chosen, the competitors give their speeches. When they are done, the contest chief judge's job and the ballot counter's job comes into play. They have to collect the ballots. There's a period of silence when everyone is to be quiet and allow the judges all the time that they need to finish their ballots. Ballot counters collect them, file out of the room with the chief judge, and our event moves on while they are doing their important job of tallying the votes. The contest Toastmaster will bring on the district conference representative to make some announcements. Usually there's a fun skit. Tammy last year led us in a march to introduce us to what's going to go on at the district conference coming up at the end of the season. Part of what is different this year is at this time the contest Toastmaster will bring up any contestants, and we will have our Meet the Contestants phase in order to help build more time for the judges to do their job, not the judges, pardon, the ballot counters and chief judge. They will bring up any contestants that are not competing in the next contest and interview them. Once the chief judge does come back into the room, they will hand a sheet of paper to the Toastmaster, and we can move on into handing out the awards. These are certificate for third place if there's 5 or more competitors, and a trophy for second, trophy for first. This is a huge change for us. District 25 used to run contests very different than this, but in order to align with Toastmasters International and the international rules, we have to have 2 separate contests. We will complete the entire evaluation contest before our intermission and before our humorous speech contest. As I just stated, after those awards, we will move into a 10-minute intermission where it is our job as directors and contest chairs to help monitor the time and get started again on time. It should only be 10 minutes. Once we are called back into order by our director, and it is important that it is the director in charge of the event that calls us back into order, because there's a particular cue to the chief judge in doing that. He will reintroduce the Toastmaster. Toastmaster may have a few opening remarks, and we'll get directly into the meat of the second contest by going over the speaking order, introducing the speakers. They will speak, cycle through on stage. The ballot counters and chief judge will do their thing, collect the ballots, leave the room. We will have further announcements. One item that will happen is definitely every contestant that has not already been interviewed will be brought up on stage and given a few questions to interview so the audience can get to know them a little better. This helps us build time for that important job of tallying the votes. Also, after the interview or before, I actually not remember my script order at the moment, will be an opportunity for you as the director to stand in front of your area, stand in front of your division, and talk about how is your area, your division doing. Certain clubs renewed on time. Are they progressing far on their DCP? Do we need to do any sort of activity? It is your time to talk with your constituents, if you will. When those announcements are done, if the chief judge is not yet back in the room, there's a unwritten requirement, I've actually made sure that it is written now, that the contest Toastmaster and the director must be able to fill time before we move into the awards. If the chief judge isn't back yet, we can't hand out awards. We don't know who won. So there are times where judging can take a while, and we will get into a few cases. But that is one of the requirements, is that Toastmaster needs to have some idea of what would they do if they're stuck on stage and they cannot proceed with the contest. The director is expected to help backfill that if necessary. To finish out the second contest, when the chief judge comes back in, they will hand the results form to the contest Toastmaster. They will continue announcing the award winners, photo op, and they will bang a gavel, and we are adjourned for that contest and the entire event. So the event, the pair of contests, does not happen in a vacuum. Everything I just talked about on the previous slide is the yellow band there across the middle. The event, opening first contest, intermission second contest. Before we can do that, there's an hour at least before we can get started. Obviously, we have to set up our space. We have a venue. We need to set it up, make sure we have lighting, sound is working, doors are unlocked, access to restrooms, and very importantly, we have to hold two separate briefings. It is the contest chair's job to perform the contestant's briefing, and it is the contest chief judge's job to perform the judge's briefing. Now those make it sound very simple, but there's a couple things going on in each of those briefings. In the contestant's briefing that the chair gives, you are briefing the contestants. If it is an evaluation contest, you are separately briefing the test speaker, you're briefing the contest Toastmaster, and you're briefing the sergeants at arms. We will get into all of that, and don't worry, there's a script for everything that you need to say. In the judge's briefing, the chief judge is not only briefing the judges, but is also briefing the timers and the ballot counters. All of these people are the folks that help make the contest and have to be extremely fair. Thus, they have to have particular briefings by the person who's in charge of making sure the contest is fair, and that is the chief judge. Well, it is also all of our jobs, but primarily it's the chief judge. Then we would go into our event. When we bang the gavel on the way out, we have to do some things afterwards, or get to do a few things afterwards. In District 25, we are gracious enough to have a number of venues that we can return to year after year after year. So like the Boy Scouts hit in a park, we'd like to leave these venues better than the way we found them. We clean up after ourselves. It is our job as the administrators of the contest to make sure that that does happen. But before we get into the trash bags and wiping down tables, it's a good opportunity to network. A lot of times contests are the place where you see other Toastmasters that you have not seen in a number of years, or you may have just met somebody and this gives you an opportunity to get to know them a little bit better. The networking is very important. If you're doing a contest that happens to be on a Saturday where at one venue we have 3 events, it can happen that there are still people from the first event while before the event activities are happening for the next event. This means the director, the contest chair, the chief judge, anybody may be trying to recruit you if you've attended to help with that next event. And I believe now I have a question.
We have a really good question, and it is asking how long should the director or the contest chair plan that briefing for? Is it 45 minutes, 20 minutes? How long does it take to get through the script? I'm assuming it's for the contest chair.
For the contest chair, it has been our practice to announce that a event will happen at, say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It has been the District 25's tradition to start the briefings that everybody must attend at 2:15, so 45 minutes before. The contest chair's briefing should take 20 minutes. There are things that can complicate that. If you have a difficult stage area and contestants have questions, if there's anything going on where you might be wearing a mic or having a microphone, sometimes there's some technical things that might take a little bit longer. We're going to get into some of what goes on in the contest chair's briefing and tell you how to get the script starting later tonight.
There was a follow-up question, because this is based on telling the venue how long you're going to be there. And it really goes to what you said about the briefing time will start that 45 minutes before.
Yes. And then we assume the event, the pair of contests, is 2 hours. It can be longer for a division than for an area contest, and it does depend on the number of contestants dramatically. So, who does what? And I hope there's an counter out there tallying all of my so's. So the area or division director has particular jobs. You are the CEO of the event. The contest chair definitely has a very important role. One of the things that I mentioned, I did things that I would prefer people not to have to experience themselves. Well, I was an area director, and I pretty well did all the parts of being a contest chair all by myself. This is too much and it hogs the experience. We don't want to have that sort of thing. We have a contest Toastmaster and helpers, contest chief judge and judges. So what does everybody do? How do we eat this elephant that is our 2-contest event? District 25 has documents to help us understand this. Bear with me as I open the contest chair's checklist, and of course it opened on the wrong window. I'm good. I'm now showing the new and improved contest chair's checklist. There's a form area at the top to detail what contest we are talking about and catalog some of the dates, times, etc. If I scroll down, pause, let that catch up, talk a little bit about contest responsibilities. There are 2 separate briefings, and note parenthetically, there could be 3 separate briefings. The contestants briefing, and then we have to make sure that the test speaker is briefed separately. The other briefing, as mentioned, is the chief judge's briefing. And I've put the term chief judge and judges in this presentation quite often so that I can tell people you don't have to worry about it. Here in District 25, almost everything having to do with judging is taken care of for you. It just shows up and happens. It shows up and happens because of an awful lot of work before my wife throws something at me. I know how much work it is. I've been a chief judge before as well. So contest responsibilities talks about a few of the responsibilities that happen, that are required. Also, there are a large number of documents that need to be prepared beforehand and brought to the contest, and to make sure we have extras in case of paper disasters, like somebody spills coffee on it. The judges' briefing consists of all of the judges, the timers, and the ballot counters, and is conducted by the chief judge. The contestants' briefing must include all contestants, the contest Toastmaster, sergeants at arms, and is conducted by the contest chair. Now you might wonder, why is the director missing from that briefing? Well, the director is out solving all the problems that crop up during preparing for a contest. The director's role is to keep any obstructions from happening that might distract the contest chair from performing this important briefing. If we don't do this briefing, these roles do not know what their job is. We will have test speakers for the first contest of the season. It is the evaluation contest, which means a test speaker must be recruited. Get to that in a moment. And the test speaker, just one-on-one with the contest chair, must be briefed. Let my screen catch up. We have an overview of the contest chair's responsibilities. The contest chair plans, coordinates, and oversees the operation of all contest activity. They do work with the clubs in the area, reinforce the director, gives you 2 places to be in at once to ensure that those clubs in the area or division are participating and implementing their own contests. I have a question.
We had 3 different people ask the same question.
That sounds like I need to address that.
So let's take a moment to address it. It's about contestants arriving late.
Contestants arriving late, yes.
And the original question was if they arrive after the briefing starts, are they disqualified? Can they still arrive late? All that kind of thing. Can you speak to that?
I have an answer for you. Contestants arriving late are the bane of our existence, but it does not terminate them right there. Every contestant must be briefed, but if you do have someone arrive late, hopefully they have called and let you know that they're arriving late. Otherwise, at the area and division level, you should probably be briefing their backup. But if they walk in 10, 15 minutes before the contest, this is why we have a director and a contest chair. The contest chair pulls aside and can brief that person very, very quickly. One-on-one, it can happen rather quickly. A contestant is not disqualified for not appearing up until the contest Toastmaster is introduced. Sorry, let me say that again. I had a bit of a questioning tone to my voice. A contestant for the contest about to start is not disqualified until the contest Toastmaster is introduced by the director. And I'm going to let the Chief Judge rein in on perhaps further or more questions.
The caveat to that, and please let me know, that if they arrive that late, they need to have their forms already completed and they waive their right to the briefing.
Okay. Jamie, I'm sorry, I may have muted you for the first part. Can you repeat the answer?
The caveat to arriving late is that you must have all the forms filled out and they waive their right to the briefing.
So it's upon the kindness of the contest chair to give any sort of briefing.
Yes.
So if they do something that may hurt their chances, they weren't briefed, but they arrived late.
Follow-on question, someone asked about the speaking order. That is given after. Oh, so in the briefing, somebody asked about how do you pull for the speaking order of a person who is not there? I'll let you answer that.
If we know that person is on their way, they've been in communication, perfectly acceptable to put their name in and assign a speaking order. If they end up not, it is not. That's what I've seen done.
Yes, I want to make sure, I think you're saying it right, but I want to be more specific.
Okay.
That assign somebody to pull for them, because we're pulling for speaking order. And I think that's what you meant by assigned speaking order, but make sure somebody pulls for them and their name gets written on there. So it gets pulled at the same time for everyone.
The contest chair does not pull for them, nominate someone, a sergeant at arms, a bystander, to pull for them. But again, repeat, if we know that they are coming. If they have had no communication, it is up your call on whether or not you assign someone. If we get into where we've started getting 2 minutes to starting the contest, we may want to go strike through that name and just give the speaking order.
And this is the same, and this is per contest. So the question was raised, if the if they're competing in the second contest, can they show up before the second contest starts? And that is correct. They must show up before the contest Toastmaster is introduced again at the second half of the contest. That's why it is important that the director of that contest introduces the Toastmaster, because that is our cutoff point.
And again, they have waived the right to a briefing and need to have all of their forms, the profile, the eligibility, the forms already filled out. Okay, so speaking order and what disqualifies a contestant. A number of these items are talked about in both the rule book and the script, and as I mentioned, I will be releasing the script tomorrow on the District 25 website. I have a slide for where that will be found, and the rule book can be found from Toastmasters International or the District 25 website. So back to an overview of contest chair's responsibilities. The contest chair works closely with the director to ensure the success of a contest, and the contest chair kit will be provided to the director, who will ensure delivery to contest chair well before the actual contest. Please forgive me, I shouldn't have removed that bullet, because this year we have decided to do a virtual chair kit, and all of the forms kit items are available on the District 25 webpage. Again, I will get to exactly where we find that later in the presentation. For every contest at the area level or above, the district has certain responsibilities. District 25 is an advanced district in the area of having a district chief judge and managing judging at a district level. So the district is responsible for assigning your contest chief judge, and that chief judge will show up with all the necessary judges. The district also provides the physical trophies. I know at DEC, the District Executive Committee, the directors were coached to, when they collect their trophies at one of the DEC meetings, to make sure they don't leave them in the trunk of their car. If you have that in your trunk of your car now, make sure as soon as this webinar is over, you go get them out. They will melt. The last district responsibility identified here is to provide a table topic question if we are doing the table topics contest. This is so that things are deemed to be fair across multiple areas and multiple divisions. The next section is the area director's checklist. Area director must secure the contest site. This should already be done at this stage or being finalized by now. More than half of all directors have turned in their contest flyer and with a map. Those are being reviewed and looked at currently, and should all those that have been turned in should be approved and back out on the website and open for distribution over this weekend. Is there a question?
There was a comment that they haven't been given the trophies yet. I assume it's probably going to be at the next DEC meeting in September.
Yes, I would. If your division director does not know, then that would be Mr. Pick that would know, our program quality director. And I can put that down on the list to ask him if and when those trophies will be acquired and distributed. I assume that there is another DEC before contest season gets going. Responsibilities after the contest flyer is to recruit a contest chair. This is something highly advisable. We will get into how roles can be combined in a moment, but a contest chair, like I said, gives you the ability to be in two places at once, recruit twice as many people. It unburdens the director from the entire job. It also does the thing that we are in Toastmasters to do. It spreads the experience, it spreads the opportunity to learn leadership skills. It is the director's responsibility to recruit the contest Toastmaster. That may be delegated to the contest chair, depending on how that team decides to work that out. If we choose to have a pledge, an inspiration, invocation, etc., the personality that is to deliver that could be the director, could be the contest chair, could be the contest Toastmaster, or someone else entirely. If we choose to do that, it is the director's responsibility to recruit them, as well as to recruit the test speaker in a speech evaluation contest, which is the contest we are working on at the moment. Very soon, the contest agenda template will be put on the website. We have just ironed it out for the changes to the structure of our 2 contests in one event, so that will be posted very soon. You must create the contest agenda and provide prints of them at the contest. For all the competitors that are competing, and really to represent all clubs in the area, all clubs in the division, it helps to have a presence of the clubs. It is traditional that we bring the club banners to the contests. There are folks that tend to show up with the posts to hang them, and it is always nice to see a contestant who is backdropped by a ring of dozens of club banners, be it the new one who only has a single ribbon on it, to afterburners, which you can't even see the banner print from all the ribbons hanging on it. It helps make Toastmasters feel alive. The director's job is to provide the Toastmaster with a script, and new this year, and there are new rules about this that don't necessarily reside purely in the contest arena. But the director must verify the contestant's eligibility by checking to make sure that they are a paid member in a renewed club. Our first round of contests happens before October 1st, is that correct? On October 1st, so right at the cutoff. If a club does not renew, the contestants cannot compete. If a member did not pay, they cannot compete. This is very different from years past when we had a grace period. There is no more grace period. If you have any questions with that as you get close to your contest, please see me, see Mr. Pick, the Program Quality Director, or ask Jamie, the District Chief Judge, and we will be happy to help with that subject. There are ways we can go check membership. It does not matter so long as Toastmasters International's website is reflecting that a member is paid. Does not matter when they paid up. They could have paid up at 11:59 the night before the contest. If the TI website the next morning can be referred to in a quick glance and that member is paid, they can compete. We mentioned the trophies earlier. Well, the director does have to remember to bring the trophies. This has been a problem in the past. Scrolling down through the checklist, the contest chair's checklist. This is a little longer, but again, the contest chair and the director are a team and can divide, subdivide, rearrange these roles as you see fit. This has been the traditional alignment. The contest chair's job is to recruit a bunch of people. We need 3 ballot counters, minimum of 3. Ballot counters, amongst the 3, only 2 of them may have a club in common. We need to spread out what clubs are represented in amongst the ballot counters. Timers, we must have 2. Timers and ballot counters, if we don't have these numbers, we cannot proceed with a contest. Timers must be from 2 completely separate clubs. Often a lot of people have multiple clubs. The timers cannot have a club in common. Depending on the contest, we need 2 or more sergeants at arms. Actually, I have seen a contest where there was only 1 door into the contest area, and we got away with 1 sergeant at arms. But it was a contest that did need more. The contests that definitely need more sergeants at arms are the table topics contest and the evaluation contest. We will get into that a little bit later in our roles. Then we get into a lot of the helpers. Some of these the chair or the director may choose to do themselves, such as the awards chair. The awards chair is in charge of printing appreciation certificates, the third place certificate, and perhaps arranging the trophies. That may be a job that one of you decides to do. A registration chair is critical because the director and the contest chair cannot only stand at the check-in table and handle people walking in the door and directing them. That is a critical role. The registration chair could also recruit another greeter to help point people in directions. Refreshments chair would be in charge of drinks and snacks. When I did my contests, instead of having a refreshments chair, as area director, I went to each of my clubs and tasked them with bringing a certain food item, so it became like a club potluck. However you wish to satisfy the requirements of refreshments chair works. The awards chair we've mentioned. The facilities chair, we'll get into some of the things that they are in charge of, as well as decorations. This one's obvious. If the decorations chair knows what the theme is and has an agreed on budget that the area or the clubs have to fund, or someone might choose to donate themselves, decorate the contest. It does help add to the atmosphere of the contest. Before we let people file out of the event, make sure we recruit a few of them to help clean up. Now, I haven't seen much of a problem with trying to recruit a cleanup crew. Usually Toastmasters are self-starters and dive into helping clean up. Before you throw out, pardon, I got an echo. If there's anything we can do to, I'm not hearing that again. Before we throw out any of the food, make sure the contest that might be, the event that is happening after yours may want to have some of that present for their event. Some of the important forms that the chair is in charge of providing for the contest. The speaker's certification of eligibility and originality. This is a form that in PDF format can be sent to all contestants well before the contest, as soon as they are identified, and ask them to fill them out beforehand and bring a print. However, do not count on contestants remembering to bring that form. Have several blank available to cover your number of contestants and then some. Also, another form in PDF format that can be sent out beforehand is the speech contestant profile forms. Mentioned we have a little area inside each contest where we meet the contestants. This profile form is how the Toastmaster knows how to ask them some questions, how to entice some information out of them to help with getting the audience to understand who just competed. New this year is the evaluation form. In evaluation contests, this year the rule is that you must use the Toastmasters provided sheet of paper for the evaluation contestants to take their notes. This form must be provided by the contest. We have to bring it to the briefing, we have to distribute it to the contestants, we have to take it up and control it in order to have a fair evaluation contest. The script and the contest chair's briefing describes that in full. Lastly, they provide the contest speaking order sheets. All of these forms are on the District 25 website and can be downloaded either in Word or PDF format, printed to your heart's content, and brought to your contest. As chair, remember to bring 2 sets of speaking order sheets, if not 3 or 4. Because remember, you do have 2 contests to work through. I have a question.
The evaluation form, they want to know if we can get it ahead of time so contestants can use it at the club contest. Absolutely. You'll direct you where they can download it. And the second thing, it is confirmed you will receive your trophies at the deck on 9/24.
Excellent. Great information. I will be going into, well, I can do it now. There it is. The District 25 Toastmasters website, d25toastmasters.org, has a tab or header for resources. Click this link, and it takes you to all of the District 25 resources. If you've never seen it before, there is a wealth of information here. What we're interested in for this topic is the speech contest resources. Click that. You have to look at my ugly mug again. Scroll, 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 scroll. And here is where all the forms I've been talking about, the ones that are about to be released this weekend for all the changes this year, they will appear here when I get them to Diana Patton to upload to the website. So for the...
Can you repeat that deadline again when people can expect the forms to be done?
The forms will be up this weekend, or I will have them delivered to Diana tonight, tomorrow night, and it could take her a couple days to work on that, but we're expecting this weekend.
There was a question about the eval forms, and they asking, is there a limit of one per contestant?
Yes, there is one evaluation form limit per contestant. If something were to happen to that form between the time that it's been distributed to them and the actual contest, it can be replaced with an extra. But that is something that they would have to make sure the chair is aware of and is retained. I was looking for our contest speaking order for the various contests. So for evaluation contest, the speaking order slips look like this. Cut them apart. People blindly choose from amongst these, and once they've chosen, they print their name and hand that back to the contest chair, who then arranges speaking order. One of the other forms on that page is our roles. The roles, this is something I'm wrestling with. I believe in the spring I will have a consolidated set of documents where the director and the contest chair will have one book containing all the documents that details all the responsibilities, checklist form, scripts, etc. But the contest roles and responsibilities will be posted to that resources page, and we can scroll through here and see what responsibilities are. Contest chair, to reiterate, plans and coordinates, oversees operation of the contest activities. They conduct the contestants, Toastmaster, and Sergeant-at-Arms briefing, brief the test speakers separately, supply all the non-judge forms for a contest, including the new evaluation form, and they know the speech contest rules. You directors out there, one of your jobs is to spread the leadership opportunity throughout your area, throughout your division, to help put on this contest, appoint a test speaker for evaluation contest, promotion of the contest. If we are not out in our clubs making sure everybody knows that our area directors are out promoting the division contest, we'll have a low turnout for our division contest. Directors also must verify all contestants' eligibility, and they are expected to know the speech contest rules. When in doubt, the director is the one responsible for anything going on at the contest. This document is worth a perusal, and certainly when recruiting, this can help. If you have this on you as you go into your clubs trying to recruit, it can give a list of this is what's expected of you if you're trying to speak to somebody about being contest Toastmaster. I'll quickly scroll through the responsibilities, if I can get Windows 10 to leave me alone. Registration, chairs, checklist. This is simple physical things we need in order to have sign-ins. The primary job of the registration chair is to make sure dignitaries sign in so that we can introduce them properly. The refreshments chair, or however you solve that, is responsible for all the refreshments and everything necessary to have refreshments. Remember ice chests and power strips. Often people will bring a slow cooker or something to keep food warm. If we don't have power strips, we may not be able to plug everything in. Awards chair prepares certificates of appreciation and the third place certificate, all of which are available on that D25 contest resources webpage. The facilities chair, this is often something I feel gets divided between the director, contest chair, and maybe one or two other important helpers. But to bring the timing lights, which you must have two, bring backup timing cards, bring 2 timing devices, post signs at the entrance and at the street, provide some sort of a lectern. Your venue may already have that. Provide a gavel. If you're going to have a pledge, make sure you have a United States flag, and hopefully it's something more than a 1-inch by 1-inch sticker that everybody's going to have to squint in order to see. Remember the useful items of tape, extension cords, power strips, various tools in order to help make sure a contest, you have all the stuff that you may not expect you will need. If you have the tools, have a toolbox, you'll be prepared for it. And then to help make sure that we do display club banners. This document also goes into more of a verbose description of the responsibilities. I suggest reading that. If you have any questions, you have my email address to contact me about. Back to our presentation. Pardon me for brushing the mic. Continuing on who does what, I wanted to give a concise view of everybody involved at a glance. And unfortunately, I live in the corporate world, so an organization chart makes sense to me, but at least I made it go sideways instead of up and down. I said the director is responsible for everything that goes on at the event, at the 2 contests. They are something like the chief executive officer or our director kind of role, obviously. Reporting to the director is the contest chair, the contest chief judge, and the contest toastmaster, even though the contest chair handles the briefing and a lot of the preparation for the contest toastmaster. The tone that the contest toastmaster is to convey should be the vision of the director, unless, of course, you have delegated that to your contest chair. Contest chair has the contestants under their wing. They have the sergeant at arms and the various other helpers, registration, refreshments, etc., working with the contest chair. During your briefing, all of these people will need to know who the director is so that they can go directly to them and not interrupt the briefing. The contest chief judge, like I said, I included this often so that we know that the chief judge, the voting judges, and the secret tiebreaker judge is free. The district provides this for you. However, the contest chief judge, the voting judges, and the secret tiebreaker judge are all provided by the district. However, the ballot counters and the timers, while they are briefed and become direct reports of the chief judge, they must be recruited by the contest chair and director. We have to make sure 5 people show up that can meet that diverse description of club membership and provide them to the chief judge. The chief judge, they do a lot for every contest that this district has in providing 5 to 7 to 9 judges. That's enough of a job. Please bring them their ballot counters and timers. Planning a contest. The very first thing to know about planning a contest, start now. You have done a very good step. You're attending this webinar, and I feel most have probably already started in as much as they can. If you've never seen a contest, I don't know how far you could have gotten without seeing some of these forms. Please excuse us, but we did have a number of changes to address, and make our peace with in order to provide these forms. They will be out this weekend. Is there a question?
Yeah, I just
Yes.
had a question come up asking if the ballot counters can be non-members.
I have seen it happen. I forgot to check and see if that adheres to the rules. I think we like to have the timers definitely as members.
We prefer that all of the ballot counters and the timers are Toastmaster members, but as we know, things happen. If we have to have a non-Toastmaster serve in one of those roles, the best place is in the ballot counting, because that is supervised. There's lots of people doing it. You can take your time doing it, so that's okay. The specific question we got was children over 10. I would prefer that they are of high school age or older for the process in the ballot counting.
Would think of it as you wouldn't want to put a child in to some place where they might need to speak their mind on, is something being done fairly? Calling out adults on, I saw a math error here. We wouldn't want somebody that would just let that go. So as far as membership is concerned, the timers must be members. They have to be familiar with the timing rules, and the best place to learn that is in Toastmasters. If we have to have non-members, they may be ballot counters. I would highly suggest not letting all 3 of our ballot counters be non-members. A role that is perfectly suited for non-members, I know because I did it for 3 years, was Sergeant at Arms. This is something that the contest chair's briefing tells everything that needs to happen. So more on planning. Pop quiz. Find your messaging bar. I know many of you have, so how many people have selected their contest chair? This should be your first, if not second. You might just see a stellar speaker and go grab them to be your contest Toastmaster before somebody else grabs them up, but your contest chair is vital. Remember, we are here helping to provide leadership experience, so make sure you do utilize a contest chair.
We have someone who is the contest chair on here.
Excellent. We have 1 contest chair in attendance. Woohoo! I hope that is not the only one, but if it is, more than welcome, and you will have a leg up, hopefully able to deliver a contest of superior quality. So the resources. I've already covered this webpage. District 25 has a magnificent website. On the home page, if you click on the resources across the top banner, you will see a list of many, many types of resources, and the speech contest resources are the ones that you're after. In order to provide the text of this presentation to anybody afterwards, I provided the link. Some of the items to do in order to help plan a contest is review those documents. That should be the first thing you do. I highly recommend a joint meeting with any of your team members that you already have established, your director, your contest chair, your contest Toastmaster. Go through the checklists, the roles and responsibilities sheet, and the scripts. The scripts will be vitally important. Help get the sense of what the contest is. The scripts give you the meat. Pick a team. Don't do what I did and do everything yourself. Don't hog all the glory and do not do it yourself. It will not turn out better, I promise you. You'll be dragged too many ways. And I liken it to, I'm a big fan of the Lord of the Rings movies and books. Peter Jackson, the director of Lord of the Rings, made sure that he recruited people and then let them free. He gave them a task to accomplish and then checked on them later. He was amazed at the sets, the costumes, the rehearsals that he got in results. Those movies are amazing as a visual specter. That's not the right word. Spectacle. those moves are amazing spectacle because he recruited people and let them flourish and have their own autonomy in accomplishing a job. You will get amazing results when you trust people with a responsibility. The primary method of pulling off a contest is visiting the clubs in the area, in the division. You're visiting the clubs in order to recruit. You're trying to recruit your helpers. You're trying to recruit contestants. Perhaps people aren't even putting on their own contest. You need to make sure somebody from that club is going to try to compete in one contest or both. It is best if we have a competitor in each contest from each club. It makes it more of a robust experience. So I have a few comments on recruiting. There is a way to recruit by using email. You send a spam out to your entire area, your entire division, maybe even to the entire district. I don't know how you get all of those email addresses. But email is a very passive approach. You are waiting for somebody to take interest and actually hit that reply button and say, yeah, I'll do it. You can ask for volunteers. My animations, I fat fingered my animation, but asking for volunteers, even in person, standing in front of the club as the figure of authority, as area director, asking somebody to raise their hand in the middle of the meeting to volunteer to do something, while it will be more effective than emailing, is still passive. It's still waiting for them to come back to you saying, yeah, I'll go do that job that you asked for. The best method is something I call the Dean Lampman maneuver. At the district conference, meet me in the bar afterwards and I'll tell you about why I call it that. But active recruiting means getting to know something about someone. Ask the officers in your clubs, who is good at speaking, who might be Toastmaster, who's a good organizer, might be a good contest chair, or might be a good registration chair. Do you have excellent timers? Do you have people that are absolutely trustworthy to be ballot counters? Find out things about these members and then approach them in the club. And for lack of a better term, shower them with praise. I know you can do it. You have a reputation in this club. I know at the contest you can be excellent at job X. I have to describe a little bit of job X, but this is the kind of interaction that people find it hard to say no to. They feel a personal connection to you. They feel that you already see something in them that they can perform and succeed at. Another way to handle it, if you do not already have a contest chair, if you know people that are in search of a project for their high performance leadership, contest chair is a very excellent HPL project. Make sure you do know some people are motivated by what's in it for me. Other people are motivated by being able to serve. Neither is better than the other. Just know what drives some people. You do have to recruit your chair, your contest Toastmaster, your timers, your ballot counters, and sergeants at arms. But that's not all. We have the test speaker. As I mentioned, you do have to recruit contestants to make sure that the clubs are sending contestants, your various helpers, and even an audience. While you can put on a contest that the only people present are people with a job or a contestant or a judge, but that begins to feel a little self-serving. It helps to have more of an audience. Make sure your club members know families welcome. Please bring them. Crying babies, just like the movie theater, please escort them out of the contest area. But everybody is welcome to see it. However, do remember that Toastmasters is an 18 and up club. We tend not to be very borderline in language or subject material, but it is possible that does happen. Again, your judges are free. Yay, District Chief Judge. Planning a contest, you do need to promote the contest in order to get people there. Your tools in order to do this: email blasts, attach the flyer to the email blast, print the flyer and carry it with you to a club. Send it out to your club officers, the club presidents, ask them to print them and hand them out at every one of their club meetings from now until your contest. Showing up once and handing out the flyer once is not going to be sufficient. We need a concentrated effort from now until your club contest happens. Ask your clubs to repost the flyer on their club websites. And again, recruit the club officers to help. Maybe they cannot attend, they're going out of town for your contest, but they can certainly help get people in the seats, get helpers in roles. We do need to communicate with our contestants. There's nothing worse than wondering where your contestants are as you tick down the time towards the contest start. So communicate them in the couple weeks beforehand. Make sure they know where to be, what time to be there, that they have completed their contestant profile and originality forms. And if they're the only one from their club, see if they'll bring their banner. It helps the atmosphere of the contest. Now, if they don't fill out their profile and originality form, that's not the end of the world, but we do have to fill it out in the briefing. It helps if people come prepared. They're not splitting their attention and writing things while the contest chair is giving the briefing. And the district chief judge would like to comment on what I've just said.
To be extremely specific, the eligibility and originality form must be filled out during the briefing in front of the contest chair and signed at that time.
So there's a witness
right.
function to that.
And dated that day.
So fill out the contestant profile, which is their biography, how long they've been in Toastmasters, what's their education level, clubs that they're representing. The originality and eligibility form, that is, think of it as something it's a legal form. It is something that we're tracking. Is somebody legitimately able to compete? So there is a witness. The chair must witness that people are filling that out and signing it. So backtrack on my earlier statement. Do not send out the originality and eligibility form beforehand. Make sure you've printed enough, bring them to your briefing, and hand them out at your briefing to see them filled in. Correct?
Yes. And while we're on the subject of the briefings, I want to clarify. Some questions have come in and some points, so I want to make sure that we clarify this. That if a contestant is not present at the start of the briefing, and that's when you do the drawing. Almost the very first thing you do in a contestant briefing is the drawing for speaking order. If they are not there, have somebody draw for them and put their name down as that speaking position. And only when we get to that cutoff point do we strike their name. It's when the Toastmaster is going to announce the speaking order is when they would strike that name out for everybody else. But make sure that it does get pulled for them during the briefing, because it is unfair if they just get the last spot or if they just get the first spot or what. Make sure they get pulled for.
So during the briefing, when we are pulling the speaking order, the contest Toastmaster is present at that point, or should be present at that point. So they'll be familiar with the fact that there are two contestants that are not here. Both of them got a slot pulled. One has notified us that they're trying the best they can to get to the contest, but the other we have not heard from. That will prepare the contest Toastmaster for announcing the speaking order from the stage, from the lectern, and watching for a contestant showing up and getting informed as to one contestant is going to be here, the other contestant is not. Something that the contest Toastmaster needs to help, or needs to arrange for the audience knowing. That is something that the judges do really appreciate hearing, is the order of speakers. So we covered banners. The eligibility, this is something that we do need to do before the contest, something for the director to make sure happens, is checking that a member is eligible to compete in a contest. This is described in the rule book, but the long and short of it is they must be a member paid and their club must have renewed. Remember, no more grace period. This is why this is important, particularly in that the first few contests. Contest chair and contest Toastmaster, make sure you rehearse your scripts. They are large. We have tried to increase the font. There are more pages to them, but it hopefully will help people be able to keep track of where they are on the page. But coming into a briefing, coming into being Toastmaster cold, while it can be done, I've seen it done very well. I've also seen it done not so well. Make sure you are familiar with that briefing document and that contest script. One last thing if you can do it, obviously the first round of contests won't be able to do this, is as a team decide that each of you, as director, if you've never seen a contest, as chair, you've never seen a contest, Toastmaster, never seen a contest, go to a different contest in some other area, some other division, and see how it works. Having seen it once before is one of the best ways to prepare for it, but don't let that take the place of your other preparations. You still need to rehearse your scripts. Is there a question?
Yes, we had a really good question come in, and it
Excellent.
was, what do we do with the originality and eligibility forms?
I believe somebody is interested in those forms.
Oh, pick me, pick me, pick me.
The contest chief judge is going to be looking for those eligibility and originality forms. It is their responsibility to collect them. So as the briefings conclude, the judge's briefing tends to go longer than the contestants and the other, the contest chair's briefing. Contest chair will be trying to help get started for the event. The contest chief judge will come out and they'll be looking for somebody, where are my eligibility and originality forms? So once you have collected those, you get those to the contest chief judge. When the contestants have filled out their profiles, you hand that over to your contest Toastmaster, so in the few minutes that they have before the contest, they may be able to give that a perusal to prepare them for the Meet the Contestants phase of a contest. Executing a contest. This is going to be a section of a bunch of advice. When you read the scripts, there will be quite a bit clear picture of what exactly happens at a contest. You'll see all the words that need to be said. But obviously one of the first things that needs to happen is the day of the contest, even before your 45 minutes earlier when you want to start the briefing, the director and the chair need to arrive early. It would help tremendously if there were other helpers arriving even earlier than that. Now watch out, if you have a venue that has a contest right before yours, make sure you're not barging in trying to carry some big huge table and interrupt the tail end of a contest. We don't want that to happen. Make sure that you both are directing and delegating. There are people at your contest that are more than competent. Explain the task, what needs to happen, and make sure you get these leadership opportunities out. Involve people. They will appreciate having played a role in carrying off a successful contest. The flip side of direct and delegate is when your team comes back to you saying, such and such a problem. I had a contest venue where the roof started leaking. Get the obstacles out of their way. We had to go find the maintenance crew. Well, and I was the one who happened to know who it was at the venue to try to handle that, that emergency. It is critical that we start our briefings on time. Start the contest chair briefing on time, the contestants briefing, start the judges briefing on time. Particularly the chief judge, there are times, because that briefing involves discussion, that can get lengthy. And we want to make sure that we do have the time and we're not rushed in order to get into the contest. We want to make sure that we bring extra forms. Say it again, there needs to be extra forms. Something will happen, somebody will misspell their name, they don't want to cross it out, and they'll need, can I have another form? Bring extras of every type of form. There's a question.
It's more of a, make sure we clarify this, because the evaluation form is new. The evaluation form provided by Toastmasters International is essentially a blank piece of paper with some wording at the top of it. What we are suggesting is during the briefing, you let the contestant put their name on it, and then it gets taken up, and then they are not to get that piece of paper again because it must remain blank until right before that test speaker starts. So they'll get that paper back from the Sergeant at Arms during, I forget where it is in the script, but Alan, you have put it in the script.
Yes.
Where it is to be handed back out. But it must be blank sans the contestant's name.
There will be a contest Toastmaster call out. If people have seen a recent contest, you know we added a check with the contest chief judge, may we proceed. With the evaluation contest, there will be a line for the contest Toastmaster to now distribute the evaluation forms. We want those forms distributed to the right people and for that to be settled before we introduce the test speaker. That allows for everybody to be prepared. Excuse me, I have a cat attacking my foot. Go away. The last thing, it is important that we start our contest on time. It is particularly important if you're sharing that venue. If you go long, the next contest can't start on time. Making sure things happen on time is all a matter of preparation. Executing a contest. The eligibility, we got ahead of ourselves. The eligibility forms go to the chief judge. So the thing that may be done is as you witness those forms being signed, that should be after you have determined the speaking order and you've written it down in an agenda or two, is hand those eligibility forms and the speaking order to one of your sergeants at arms and tell them to get that to the chief judge. They don't know who the chief judge is, make sure they do know who the chief judge is. The chief judge tends to brief the judges first and then can release the judges, and then we tend to brief the timers and ballot counters, unless of course we're waiting for a judge. So there is some time that the director can use to help round up people in order to recruit. You know, hey, can you be a timer? Would you like to be a ballot counter? And get them into the chief judge's briefing room. The Toastmaster does have a small briefing with the chief judge, particularly this year, and that will be one of my last slides, is there is a new results form, new procedure for announcing the winners, and it will help dramatically if the Toastmaster has seen that before they are live on stage in the spotlight. We do not want any Steve Harvey moments. We need to stay alert. It's common that particularly the speakers, they can draw you in. That's what they're trying to do. But we need to stay alert to what is happening in our contest, before our contest, after our contest, at all times. Problem solve. This is the getting the problems out of your people's way. And remember, even though you're the one scurrying about, frantically trying to make sure that something is happening and going on, smile. You're the face of the area. You're the face of the division. You're the welcoming face to somebody that perhaps was like me years ago that didn't know if I really wanted to join Toastmasters, but I was seeing contests. You never know what is going to influence somebody to continue on their Toastmasters journey. We have a quiz. Has anyone selected their contest Toastmaster yet? Now, no, this is something that can be difficult because club contests may not have occurred. A lot of people will turn you down if you ask this early because they intend to compete at their clubs. Well, as soon as that club's contest is over, you could be right back on the phone and in their email box saying, hey, did you place? Well, if they did, now you know a contestant. If they didn't, you can rope them into being contest Toastmaster.
There are a lot more people saying yes than don't know, or have asked and haven't heard back. There's a lot of people that
excellent. That is very good. I'm glad to see that the holdup of the forms has not stopped people from going ahead. Again, there is still plenty of time. If you are a first timer and you haven't gotten started on any of this, it is not too late. There's still a month to do this, but you don't want to be taking another week off. It is time to get started. The contest chair and the contest Toastmaster. There's always been something that has distracted me and made my brain explode at all of the contests. Many times, and now it matters, contestants will turn to the contest Toastmaster and thank them for the introduction and address them as the contest chair, when I know the contest chair is sitting over there next to the area director. This stems from the fact that the contest Toastmaster at the World Champion of Public Speaking is called contest chair. This nomenclature appears on the results form, so I did want to make sure if anybody that does hear this, they'll know that this is a phenomenon that happens and to not be confused. The contest chair does not have a role to play in the notification of winners, in the announcement of winners, unless of course you ask them to fetch trophies, etc. So the contest Toastmaster perspective. We're going to have the script publicized. It will be released in Microsoft Word format so that the Toastmaster can customize it. The customization is there so that you can add your flavor to the script and eliminate portions that you may not need that are obvious to you to make it yours and that it will flow for you. There are many items, and the director and the chair should know the rules to know which of the items that should not come out of the script. I think they're pretty obvious. Obviously, the audience briefing is there. What has worked well for many a contest Toastmaster, myself and my wife included, is to print it, one or both sides of the paper, punch holes in it, put it in a binder. That gives you a container that all the pages will always stay right there, and you can bring that up to the lectern, set it down, read from your script, turn your pages. You never turn the pages back. You can pick up the binder, leave the lectern, and things will stay nice and neat, and you'll be able to stay on track and not be flipping through your script if you have it stapled going, where did I leave off? I'm miming it and nobody can see me. So much for my acting career. Before the contest starts, and this is part of the contest Toastmasters briefing, is to make sure that none of the dignitary names and none of the contestants' names throw you for a whirl. Now, there's sometimes you just won't be able to pronounce them. We're a pretty forgiving bunch on mangling names, but give it a shot to not get surprised by it. The Toastmaster should also read the contest chair's briefing because they are present for quite a bit of the other briefings, and it helps for them to know what is it that the sergeants at arms are doing during the contest. What is it that the contestants are being told? It's good for them to be familiar with the chair briefing. And make sure your contest Toastmaster is asking questions. Now, if you have Diana Patton as your contest Toastmaster, maybe she won't ask so many questions. She'll ask questions about your theme and what do you want, but not about the particulars of how to do it. If you have a very first time contest Toastmaster, they should be asking you a lot of questions. A point to make, particularly at the area level, we really do want first-time contest Toastmasters. This gets the experience out there, and people get to see things. They get to get out of their club and experience something different. It was a very rewarding experience for me. One of the very first steps I made outside my club was as a contest Toastmaster. It is good advice. I made sure that my contest Toastmaster, who was a first-timer, actually belonged to a chartering club, made sure she came out and saw another contest. And then everybody was amazed when my contest was pulled off and ended. They said, that's a new Toastmaster in a club that hasn't chartered yet? Really? Well, she got prepared. The contest Toastmaster may not need to arrive quite as early as the director and the chair, but they do need to arrive early. You do not want to be getting 10 minutes before your contest and your Toastmaster is still in traffic. Be in the space. I do a lot of public speaking for my job, and it does help me to not come into a room cold. it helps that I see my perspective that I will be occupying when I'm presenting. I think it would be the same for the contest Toastmasters, so for them to see where's the lectern, how's the stage working, etc. Be early for the briefing and be prepared for the briefing. The briefing starts the contest Toastmasters showtime. You're on the job at that point. The Toastmaster is. They need to be interacting with the contestants, getting to know them, learning their names, and knowing which contestant they will be interacting with when. It helps to have some sort of an introduction to them in order to do the meet the contestants portion of the meeting. Some advice to the contest Toastmaster. The contest Toastmaster does not start either one of our contests in the combined contest event. The director opens and then gives an introduction to the contest Toastmaster, shakes hands, transfers control of the event to the Toastmaster. We do this because that is a flag that the rule book has pointed out, and it is helpful for us in governing a contest's fairness. Follow the script. Yes, add all the flavor you want to it. Don't add so much that you're extending the time of the contest much, but the script is there for a reason. It is an excellent tool to guide you through it. I had my doubts when I started being a contest Toastmaster. The script really does help. It really does work. It is a new requirement. Second year we've been doing this. To confirm that the chief judge is in the room and is ready, there's a line in the script where you ask, Mr. Chief Judge, are we ready to begin? Chief Judge should play it up and give a rousing, yes we are, or have some fun with it, but there will be a clear indication that yes, we are ready. It has happened that a chief judge is not in the room when the Toastmaster tried to start a contest, and that is a no-no. We cannot guarantee fairness unless the chief judge is in the room. Actually, we cannot guarantee that the ballots are correct if the chief judge is in the room. Why do we have to have the chief judge in the room? To make sure that the ballots are correct. Our judges are anonymous. We do not identify who the judges are. The chief judge should be the only person, perfect world, only person that knows who the judges are. They, before this point in the contest, they are keeping tabs on, have all my judges stayed in the room since we called the meeting to order? The reason we ask the chief judge if they are ready is that is what they're saying is, yes, my team of judges is ready to judge this contest, and it will be fair because they are all here and not missing something. This will be the evaluation contest, so this will have a new line in the script for directing the Sergeant-at-Arms to distribute the evaluation forms to the contestants. And there is a question.
I want to go into some more detail about the test speaker. For the evaluation contest, you have to have the test speaker.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that they are outside of the area or outside of the division, depending on the contest that is being held. The test speaker should also be a newer Toastmaster. You do not want a DTM being a test speaker. Someone who is somewhere in the CC manual is
excellent
the best.
Test speakers in the CC manual.
Is the best, but you do need a Toastmaster, someone who is a Toastmaster, and somewhere in that CC manual is the best. If you're having trouble finding someone outside your area or your division, call on your fellow area governors, division governors, or call on Mr. Allen over here because he can help facilitate that. Maybe you have somebody in your club who would be great at doing this. Give their name, get them in touch with Allen, and Allen can put that out to the other divisions and the other area governors to help facilitate that.
I have 2 clubs in 2 different divisions that are full of potential test speakers and contest Toastmasters. So please lean on the resources that you have in the district executive committee and in myself.
A question just came up about can the test speaker be from outside of District 25 as long as they are a Toastmaster? So if you're borrowing somebody from District 50, that's okay.
That's just fine.
Yes.
Do we have to check anything about the test speaker's eligibility? Do they have to be a paid member?
I don't know the answer to that.
It's always good when you stump the district chief judge, because she's going to get back at me later tonight.
I am getting a response that yes, they have to be. I don't know that the rule is explicit on this, but yes, we want a Toastmaster.
We do want Toastmaster in good standing.
If you're not paid, you're not a Toastmaster.
It supports the organization. When in doubt, follow the script. Here we go. I thought I skipped a slide. One of the most important things that the contest Toastmaster will be doing is introducing every contestant the exact same way. This is a matter of fairness. In our clubs, it is fine and even encouraged to give some remarks before and after a speaker takes the stage, encouraging them, talking about how awesome the speech was. We cannot do that in a contest. If the contest Toastmaster does do that, they will get a very quick visit from either you, the director, contest chair, or the chief judge. Also, just to throw it in here, the chief judge has the power to stand up and stop the entire contest. Make sure everybody knows who the chief judge is, who's on your team, and if that does happen, stop and listen to what the chief judge needs to have happen. They are there in order to make the contest fair. The intermission, yes, contest Toastmaster probably needs to rest voice, get a drink, visit the restroom, but the contest Toastmaster should also be one of the people helping to get everyone back into the event room to start the next contest, so keep an eye on the time. Your timer should be assisting you with giving you a 2-minute warning and that sort of thing. That's included in the script. The contestant interviews. There are 4 questions that you ask everybody, and this is why we have a different interview process this time. If someone's only competing in the evaluation contest, they're going to be great. We can do an interview with them right there in that first contest and help build time for a chief judge and ballot counters to do their job. We'll ask those contestants what club are they representing. Usually there's raucous applause and support for the club when named. What is their education level, which usually surprises people. And do not be surprised when your contestants completely and totally forget that they're an advanced communicator gold. I've been surprised at the people that do forget what their rank is. What I've learned is they're probably trying to remember, well, I got that 10 years ago when it was called something else. I don't know what it's called today. We also ask how many years they've been involved in Toastmasters, which is always an interesting answer. And then from their profile, the contest Toastmaster is to ask them a short answer question. Stress short answer question. If you have somebody that loves the spotlight, the Toastmaster needs to be able to control them. If not, have the director and chair have a hook off the side of the stage in order to yank them off. There is the unwritten responsibility that I'm trying to get into writing for all of this is there are times, protests, perhaps something has gone awry in ballot counting and we're trying to straighten something out, or just for whatever reason ballot counting is going along. We need to be able to fill the air until the contest chief judge comes back into the room. So be able to tap dance. One good thing that is always easy to do is engage the audience in a little table topics. Guidance there don't involve do not involve any contestants, and do not try to ask people about, okay, so so-and-so is coming up on stage, what do you expect from their speech? Not fair, because it tends to bias the audience and the judges that are in the room about that contestant. The reason we have to break up our meet the contestants is the judges cannot know their club, their education level, the years they've been in Toastmasters, so we only interview contestants in the first contest that are only competing in that contest. This does mean we could have contests where there's nobody we can interview the first time round. We ask the district conference representative to take a little bit longer, and your contest Toastmaster and director, that's definitely when you know, yeah, we might have to tap dance here up on stage. Yes?
If I could, one of the great things I love about Toastmasters is all the support we get. So somebody, Jody, thankfully, she dove into the rule book, and yes, the test speaker must be in good standing, club in good standing, all of that.
Excellent.
Yeah, it is in the rule book.
So at the end of each of our contests, we have an announcement of winners. Oh, no, wait, sorry. That's the wrong term. Now we have a results form. District 25 used to have a form that helped in kind of a script fashion announce the winners, and now there is a Toastmasters International results form that must be used. This results form looks like this. It has a bunch of verbiage that you do not want your Toastmaster trying to read through that and figure out what to do when they're on stage needing to announce the winners of the contest. The important part is down at the bottom where we talk about time disqualifications. You will probably find that the chief judge has written something in that time disqualifications area. It also appears, the text that needs to be read to the audience also appears in the script. If there are any time disqualifications in that contest, the yes checkbox will be checked. If they have written what needs to be said, it'll appear right there. Otherwise, refer to your script and read it verbatim. There were one or more disqualifications due to time. We do not call out how many, who did it, none of that. They're just, usually we can figure it out by how does the ranking of the winners go. Sometimes, though, it was the person that came in fourth place, and we never know. It is not the point of the contest to point out if someone went over time or did not make qualifying time. And then the form simply lists third place winner, second place winner, first place winner. This is an area we want to work with our contest Toastmasters and make sure they know what appears in the script and how this form is structured so that this form will come to them, but the script can help them frame it. We cannot write the winners' names in the script. They must be read from this form. I know everybody having done a contest, I mean, there's judges, there's a rule book. So what if there is a protest? Well, the contest chair and the chief judge are involved in protests. There's a very good possibility that if somebody has a protest, they may bring it to the attention of the director just because they're a known face in that area or division. If that happens, refer them to the chair because that is the proper avenue. I am putting this slide in here to let everybody that this is aimed at take a breath. If a protest happens, all you are there to do is to make sure the chief judge knows about it and can start the protest proceedings, if it can even proceed. So what happens, what can you protest on? You can protest on eligibility. Is that a member who is paid and their club has renewed? That should be the only kind of protest that comes to you, the contest chair, or Mrs. Area Director, Division Director. The eligibility protest comes from another contestant. If that does happen, the rulebook describes the protest process, but you bring it to the attention of the chief judge, and it goes from there. On originality, the only people that can protest originality are the voting judges. If a contestant comes to you and says, that was not original, what?
Yes, I'm going to step in.
Okay, I'm going to let the district chief judge take over. Pardon?
Make me
Stop.
Going down path there. Two things you can protest on: eligibility and originality, which you covered. Originality that's in the rule book. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole.
Eligibility.
Both of them are in the rule book, but originality is what I was referring to. Both of those items can be protested on by a contestant or a voting judge only. Contestant and voting judge can protest on either of those items, and they report their protest to the contest chair or the chief judge. The chief judge leads the protest process. Is that more clear? So there's two things you can protest on. The voting, because the voting judge may know, I know that person's not eligible. They can protest on that. They can protest on that. So eligibility and originality, contestants and voting judges are the only people who can protest, and they must report their protest to the contest chair or the chief judge before the announcement of the winners. Once the winners are announced, it's all said and done. Unless we find out later that somebody wasn't eligible, and then that can be retroactive. But
that's a matter for
all sales are final
the chief judge. There's also something we asked and it's put in the script that the Toastmaster, as soon as possible after announcing the winners, bang the gavel and close the contest. This helps people make sure they understand, no, it's too late to bring up a protest. We've closed the contest. So, to review again, there are two forms of protest. Is the contestant eligible? Is their material original? Both of these are described in the rule book. Contestants and voting judges can bring up a protest. The voting judges will go to the chief judge. Don't have to worry about the judges. A contestant can protest on either of those subjects, and they have been directed, I believe it's in the contestant briefing, that they approach the contest chair. Do I have any questions coming in on that since I started us down the wrong path? Which is weird since I've been a chief judge.
Well, we usually just say because it's mostly going to be originality that the judges are protesting on.
That's probably
mostly going to be, so we talk about in mostly's. The question is, in the briefing, the contestants are told that if they have a protest, it does, I don't know if they're told before the announcement of the winners, but I know they are told about if they have a protest. I'm not sure, because the question is, are they told that they must do it before the announcement of the winners? And I'm not sure if that's in the briefing or not.
When I got started, protest was this big anxiety-causing concept to me. I've been in protests now, and particularly as far as the contest chair is concerned, you are just there as the sounding board, and you bring it to the chief judge, and you may or may not be involved as the protest goes forward. By the rules, you really shouldn't be involved.
You are not involved.
So do not worry about protest. If it happens, well, make sure that they were a contestant. Because if it was just some other audience member, you know, the timer comes up and says, that wasn't an original. Okay. Are you a contestant? Then I can't hear the protest. So that is all there is, really, in a nutshell, to know about protest. It's interesting reading in the rule book. As I have taken 50 of my 1 hour that I thought I would have for questions, I do want to release this webinar to answering any other questions that anybody may have. I will...
There was, Alan, a little bit of a clarification. Wanted for, and you said it, but we want to make sure we clarify it again, that if we have the pledge at the start of a contest, we want to make sure we have an actual flag to pledge to, not just look out the windows to the...
There's a flag over in that direction, and everybody face that way.
Right. But I don't, if people want to type in questions, I can relay them. We covered a lot of material tonight.
And do not worry about having absorbed it all. Everything appears in the rulebook, in the documents posted to the website, and I am here to help refresh as needed. If anybody who is on the webinar is in the first round of contests here at the end of September, beginning of October, October 1, I do plan to attend and be standing right next to the contest chairs, because these are new documents. There may be questions that need to be answered, and I intend to be at every one of those contests the opening weekend. Last thing I'll say, as Jamie's looking at what questions are being asked, is I know I'm not perfect. These documents are an attempt to improve, but if there are things as we go through our contests this season, things that we can do to help improve the document, please send it to me. I've made sure that my D25 email is at the bottom of every piece of paper that I am changing. So please let me know if there are things that I can clarify, I can improve, consolidate. What would make your jobs easier?
One of those suggestions for that would be to include clear language about what a contestant can protest and before what time, to make sure that is in their briefing. There's a line about the
Yes.
so if you add that, that feedback has come in. There is, someone is asking, for a first-time contest chair, what is the best piece of advice you can give them? They do plan to go see an area competition before.
That really is my best advice, is go see a contest before yours. Ask that contest chair if you can shadow them. There's no reason why you can't be in that briefing. You can hear it, see what things go on, how do contestants act. If I had to back that up with a number 2, take to heart my recruiting message. Email and asking in an open forum is very passive. Try learning, try experimenting. We're Toastmasters. We're not afraid to speak to someone. Experiment with active recruiting.
We did have a threat that watch what you asked for because someone's an editor.
Oh no. Well, it has already gone through the English major district director, so yeah, I've already been lectured on my use of apostrophes and instead of and, which I swear was typos. But yes, I do want it to be good, solid documents. I'm an Aggie. I can't write. I can't do math. That's why I have a job making maps. I need help. Question.
Clarification on, so that you started to talk about disqualifications of contestants and then eligibility and originality. This is a common confusion point. The eligibility and originality is one thing that we set over here to the side of not being original and you're not a member in good standing. Disqualifications has to do with you are under or over time. That's how you disqualify yourself. That's the difference between those. I hope that answers that question. But it is a common misconception. I think we're good on questions. There is a topic that in the comments they're asking me to address, but I don't have an answer for it. So I really need to take it offline and see what our solution is. It's a question about an audience member videotaping a contestant, and it threw them off because, wait a minute, you shouldn't be videotaping me, and I totally understand that and get that, but I have no solution right now for that.
In the audience briefing, it does say, do not use photography, particularly flash photography. The script may need to be modified in order to include video.
Any other questions while we're wrapping up? We have just a couple minutes left on this beautiful rainy Thursday night.
That's what I'm hearing is rain. Well, we will hang out for a few more minutes on questions, but that is the conclusion of the contest quality webinar for District 25. Thank everybody for your time. I know it is a step out on a Thursday evening when you would prefer to be with families, but I hope this helps you put on a good contest that improves your area, improves your division, helps get people out of their clubs.
Thank you to everybody who's saying thank you, or you're welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. or you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. How does that protocol go? I will see everybody out at contests.